This is the Razer Raiju V3 Pro. Is it good for fighting games? Let's find out. Comes in this really nice looking box, and it'll work for the PS5 and the PC. The thumbsticks or TMR sticks. And let's address this right away. This thing is not cheap. It's 220 bucks. And it's really meant for people who are serious about their esports. Right now on Amazon, it's on sale for $186. And for that price, you do get a really nice case here. Inside, you find the controller itself, a really long cable. This is the default stick cap. Also comes with a longer stick cap and a dome stick cap, which I have installed here. Of course, you can plug it in or you can play it wirelessly via the dongle here. Also come with a screwdriver, and this is to unscrew the back buttons here. So let's say you only want to use 2 of them, or you don't want to use any of them at all, and you want to replace it with these things right here. So these will make it flushed against the handles. There you go. Just lift it up, take it out, and then you just place it in there, screw it back in. There we go. Now it's flushed against the handle. You know, I wonder if you can still press these in. So yeah, if you press it on this side toward the bottom, yeah, you can still press it in. Same thing on this side. But you gotta press really hard though, I have to say. For normal use, you're not going to be able to press it in. You got to really try and press hard. Check this out. Look at this. In the case, you got a pocket, right? And then there's another pocket in the pocket. I guess this is where I'm going to keep these things nice and safe. Right out of the box, you're going to notice that this guy is a really big controller. I have pretty big hands, so it fits me perfectly. However, if you have smaller hands, you may have trouble using this controller. This is the Wolverine V3 Pro. You can see how much bigger this controller is. It's almost like an inch wider. It's also taller as well. I would say about half an inch taller. You know what's crazy? Even though this is smaller, the Wolverine, this actually feels lighter. I wonder if this guy has rumble. Does the Raiju V3 have haptic feedback? The answer is no. Even though I don't personally use rumble, but at this price range, it should really have rumble. And if you don't use it, you can just turn it off. In terms of the actual controller itself, this is a pretty well-built controller. The tension on the sticks here are pretty light, I would say. But it does have rings around it so that you can rotate very smoothly. And if you play fighting games, I highly recommend you use the dome one. This way you can do 360s a lot easier. As far as the shoulder buttons and the triggers, tension is also pretty light on the triggers. You can also lock the trigger as well. Shoulder buttons are nice and clicky and quick. You do get 2 extra shoulder buttons here in the middle. And I love these extra shoulder buttons. All Pro controllers should have this. It's a great location for it. And you also get 4 extra back buttons. These are also very nice and clicky. Helps me do backdash really quickly. All of the switches on here, on all of the buttons, are mice switches. The switches on the face buttons have a lot of resistance. They do spring up pretty quickly. I just wish there's a little bit less resistance on these though. Fortunately for us, the D-pad does not have that kind of resistance. It's actually pretty quick and easy to press. And as you can see here, this is a floating D-pad, unlike on the Wolverine. The D-pad is actually up here where I prefer it to be. I feel that in this position it's a little easier for me to reach all of the directions, whereas on here to reach up forward, I gotta really stretch my thumb. Let's address the comfort of the controller. On the Wolverine V3, you see how short and stubby the handles are. It gets cut off on your palm, and also at the bottom of the handle, it sticks out a lot. And that's probably to make room to include these back buttons. But because of this, it digs into your palm. And as you can see, the handles are a lot longer. You see how my pinky barely touches the bottom of the handle on the Wolverine, whereas on the Raiju, I can comfortably hold it, no problem. And the fact that this is lighter, it makes it more comfortable to use over time, of course. I'm happy that Razer fixed these issues, but it's not perfect though. Even though the bulge on the Raiju is not as pronounced as on the Wolverine, it's still there, and it still digs into my palm. The texture handles is actually etched in, but this time it wraps all the way around, whereas on the Wolverine you can see it's smooth, right? I actually prefer it this way, and the reason being, you're going to move your thumb around a lot, and also this portion of your thumb around the faceplate a lot. The sharp texture here rub against the bottom of my thumb, and it gets uncomfortable over time. So I kind of wish they had kept it like this and only texturized the bottom part of it. But overall though, I would say the Raiju is miles more comfortable than on the Wolverine. In terms of cardinal directions, this D-pad does a really good job. Straight directions are pretty accurate. I don't accidentally trigger diagonals with this. And whenever you want to isolate a diagonal, just put your thumb in between the cross here. I don't have any problems countering at different levels. Double taps are responsive. Since the D-pad is a floating D-pad, motion inputs is pretty good on here as well. I can do all of my combos on here. Double quarter circles are pretty good both ways. Somebody in the comments of the unboxing video asked me to test buffering Jamie's instant dive kick. Jamie's instant dive kick is pretty hard to perform. Oftentimes a lot of controllers struggle with this, but not this one. And I think that's because the diagonal window on this guy is pretty big. So it's a lot easier for me to isolate diagonals on here. Circular motions are fantastic with this D-pad. One thing I do struggle with is pressing either the trigger and the shoulder button together with one of the face buttons. The shoulder buttons and the triggers almost always come out first, and that's because the face buttons are pretty hard to press. I guess because of that, it activates slower. The trick that I discovered to help me press both of these at the same time is you gotta press this really hard and really fast. Like that. Look at that. Charge motion, pretty easy. The thing that makes sliding motion super easy to do on this D-pad is the fact that it's concaved. The edges sticks up and out. So doing long sessions of just me sliding around the edges here, my thumbs gets hella sore. Alright, let's do a pivot test. Yep, there sure is a pivot here. Honestly, all D-pads should have a pivot like this. It just makes rocking the D-pad back and forth a lot easier and more accurate. So yeah, this D-pad is pretty good for both 2D and 3D fighters for motion inputs and cardinal directions. Razer's D-pad has been very good ever since the Chroma, and this guy is no different. In terms of software, you're going to need the Synapse app on your PC. You can map the extra buttons to whatever you want. Unfortunately, you can only program one button at a time. But you know what's cool about this controller though? it lets you program one of the keyboard keys onto the buttons. This would be great for like an RPG or an MMO. And I'm not sure if I've seen this before, but you can adjust the trigger to analog mode or digital mode. You can see the level of pressure I'm pressing on it. When I switch it to digital, it's just on and off. This is probably better for fighting games. And this is great for first-person shooters. You can set the sensitivity clutch. So here's my normal walking speed. When I clutch it, it's walking a lot slower, as you can see. For the right clutch, if I want to slow it down, press and hold. And now it's a lot slower, as you can see. Makes it easier for you to aim. The other cool thing about this controller, it lets you control the SOCD settings. For neutral, if you press both opposing buttons, then they cancel out. Now if I go first input priority, this means whatever that you press first will be prioritized. So I'm going to press left and right at the same time. You can see that left is being prioritized. Next we have last input priority, and this is particularly useful. Let's say you're blocking and you don't want to lift this up, but you want to jump. So all I gotta do is use one of the extra buttons to press up, and he jumps. And then when he lands, he's gonna block down. You see that? And lastly, no SOCD. So both buttons are considered being held down. I wonder what that looks like. Let's test it out. Go down, up, and left, right. So I guess in this case, the game handles it. So the game just cancels it out. Let's head over to Gamepad to take a look at the latency test. Alright, when it's wired, for button latency we got 2.3 milliseconds. For the sticks, 5.3, 2000 Hertz. Very good jitter. For the wireless dongle, button latency is about 8 milliseconds, and the sticks is 27. That's pretty bad. And the polling rate is 500 Hertz. Jitter is about 1 millisecond. So yeah, just plug it in. Alright, final thoughts. This controller is a big improvement over the Wolverine V3 Pro. While I like this controller a lot, I just wish it was a little more comfortable. And the Raiju really solves a lot of issues I had with the Wolverine. I also prefer my D-pad, instead of being down here, to be up here where it's a little easier to access. And the Raiju is just a lot faster than the Wolverine. Aside from the face buttons with the switches being really hard, this is a really good controller for fighting games. That's because the D-pad is just excellent. Hopefully the switches will wear in over time and become softer. And that's it for me. Hopefully you found the video to be helpful. If you did, give it a like, subscribe for more, and take care now.
Yeah! Let's go.